Welcome to Age UK Isle of Wight podcast, featuring Island Voices, brought to you in association with Slingshot Records.
Okay, welcome to the Age UK podcast. Our guest today is Derek Thompson, who lives on Ryde on the Isle of Wight. Hello, Derek.
Hello.
Okay. Derek is also my dad. I'm Rob Thompson, and this is Derek Thompson. So, Dad, tell us about where you were born.
Oh, well, I was born in Willesden, opposite the bus garage, and that was in 1934. So I had, I studied education, I suppose, in 1939, very limited education through the war. Finally left without any qualifications and went into publishing. I worked at as a packing department, in the packing department of a publisher, Barnard and Westwood, in the West End, and I was very fortunate because I became good pals with Bill McCarthy, who became Lord McCarthy. We were both passionate about the Labour Party, and Bill was commissioned finally to do a report on the London docks by the Prime Minister. And after 3 years of hard work, he produced this report as to how it should be reorganised, much vilified and criticised by the unions. And out of it he became Lord McCarthy, but the report was never adopted.
So, forgive me butting in there, but so if we, today in this conversation, we're just going to focus a little bit on your mum, your dad, your brother, your sister, brothers and sisters, your life in London. You had a whole career in industry as well, in Courtauld, and then your own business up in living in the north, which we probably won't cover today. But just to try and cover those sort of, focus on those early years and London, the war. You had some time in the Air Force as well. So we're just going to try and let you unpack all of those things, like as we agreed. And if you're happy just to keep telling stories, and I'll just ask questions occasionally.
Well, okay. I was fortunate. I had a very good upbringing, very strong, and my dad had served in the army during the 30s. He got TB, unfortunately, and so he spent 5 years up at Bushey in a convalescent home, and finally died at the age of 41.
And how old were you?
I was about 11 or 12, about 12. My mother wouldn't let me go to his cremation, which I was very upset about.
And what was your dad's name?
My dad was Harold.
Yeah. Was he known as Harold, or was he
he was known as Hal. Yeah. He happened to be born in Manchester, in Hume, but came to London for work, really. And
he was from a big family, wasn't he, as I remember?
Yes, a very large family. I think there were 9 in 1 or 2 rooms in Hume. It was a very poor area of Manchester. So he got out as quickly as he could, as did many of the others.
And your mum's name?
She was Marjorie. She was different, really. She came from a farming family in Farnham, Surrey, about 35 miles south of London.
Okay.
And the farming, fortunately, kept us provided with food during the war. My mother used to go down and periodically pick up all sorts of pieces.
I remember you always said that there was always you never went hungry in the war.
No. We ate well. And my mother, as long as she was there, my father had the pleasure one day of being there and cooking, and he was a reasonable cook, but he used up all of her precious rations, and she was hopping mad when she came back. She'd only been up for the day, but he was a good cook, and they had a good relationship. They got on well.
Yeah.
But
and brothers and sisters, take me through their ages, names, and where they were in relation to you.
Well, everyone was older. My older brother was John. He was 3 years older than me. My sister was Eve. She was 2 years older. Strangely, all three of us, me, John, and Eve, all got married within 9 months. And my mother didn't demur. She was very, very supportive. When Fran and I got married, I think we got married on 50 quid. But it's sufficed. We seem to manage on that okay.
Okay, and Fran is your wife.
Fran's my wife now. Yeah, we became pals.
And you're still pals now.
Oh yes, good friends.
Yeah.
We've talked about it. Where did we meet? And it can only have been a place called the Drill Hall, which was a socialising area. Primarily it was a dance hall, but I didn't dance, so I obviously went there for socialising, and met Fran, and this led to a long-term relationship, a lifetime relationship, because we have common interests.
What are those? What are your common interests?
Primarily theatre and politics, fortunately. I was brainwashed into politics during the war, just after the war. By the age of, I was only about 8 or 9, and I was sent out delivering Labour Party notices. So I was and I've stayed with it.
You're still there?
All my lifetime.
Yeah.
From the Drill Hall, yes, our other interests, principally theatre, but I brainwashed Fran into coming to football and cricket. We even used to go to Speedway at Wembley Stadium. There's Speedway.
So let's just cover that. I've got down Queen's Park Rangers is your football team.
Yes.
Who was your cricket team that you supported?
We used to go to Lords and...
so whoever was playing at Lords.
Yes, well, obviously Middlesex.
And then your Speedway team was Wembley Lions.
Oh, Wembley Lions, yes.
Okay. In our house, or in your house, not I don't live there anymore, but there's the Wembley Lions Speedway brochures are still
That's
famous.
Right. I used to collect programmes for everything, and so I used to collect autographs. I have masses of autographs of particularly Speedway riders who then were deceased because they used to kill themselves on the racetrack.
Yeah.
So
forgive me. I'm going to steer you back because there's also you had a younger brother as well.
I had a younger brother
and a stepbrother as well. So there's two others to sort of talk about.
Yes, my younger brother was Ron, but I didn't really have much to do with Ron because I was married and living away. My mother was very fond of Ron, but she only had him for a very short time, really. And then he was unfortunately killed in a car crash. He wasn't driving; he was just a passenger. the driver broke a finger, and Ron, it cost him his life. So, and the irony is that he was killed, the driver hitting a tree on the A1, and I finished up many years later working for a company about half a mile from that tree on the A1.
And every time you saw that tree, did you always think?
Yes.
Yeah.
I used to then have to drive my 80 miles back home,
Yeah.
and I used to commute most days.
Yeah. So, and then stepbrother, Ray.
My stepbrother, again, I didn't see much of. He arrived at our house in Kingsbury, knock on the door. Ray's father, and Ray turned up at the door. And I was on the landing, obviously eavesdropping. So I heard the conversation, and my father, said he would accept Ray into our family. So he came and lived with us for several years until he could get out, and he then joined the RAF. His father made sure that he was into a good school. He took him to Preston Manor, which was a grammar school, very prestigious school too. But he made sure that he got him into a grammar school.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't, despite Ray, he's quite intelligent, but he didn't do anything at school, and left as soon as he could, and joined the RAF quite soon afterwards.
Mm-hmm. And he ended up with a career in the States, is that correct?
He then went to America, and but with his wife. His wife was Scottish, and they joined, both in the RAF,
Mm-hmm.
but they both wanted to go to America. His wife, in fact, last survived to 100, but she died quite recently.
Mm. So that's your mum, your dad, your stepbrother, your two other brothers, and your sister.
Eve, my sister, she married the chap across the road in Kingsbury. She again wanted affluence, really. She was ill-educated, like most of us at that time. But she joined this. She married John DePaul, who then became. He joined the American Army. He had a relative who was American, so he had apparently ancestry where he could join up as an American citizen.
Mm-hmm.
And so cleared off to America, the pair of them. He became a driver for General Gunther, who had quite a celebrated American career during the war. Yes, so Eve was okay. Ray didn't last long. He was cured. They went out to Rhodesia, as it was, which is now Zimbabwe. And so they went out there, but it was 6 months working for a company, and then 6 months for the services. And anyway, he had a heart attack and died at the age of 54.
Mm.
Yes, so that's the family.